Hey y'all, it's Laure and welcome to Bookies and Cookies. Today I'm going to go through the book haul of all the books I had signed at Colorado Teen Book Con. I'll be going through them alphabetically by last name, so I will link below the authors and the timestamp. That way if you want to skip to a certain author that you're already aware of or a book that you're interested in, you can do so. This year was the very first time they put on Colorado Teen Book Con. The new owners of Tattered Cover are promoting like teen readers and teen books much more than previous owners have. I was able to volunteer with the event as a librarian, so librarians, educators, teachers, etc. could participate with the volunteering aspect, so that's how I got my way in. It was just a really fun day. There were keynote speeches by Danielle, Paige, and Scott Westerfeld. Oh, all the authors are on the back of my shirt and I don't have it memorized. There's so many. There were 22 authors. Well, 21. I'll be scrolling lists right now so you can read them all as I continue talking. A couple of my coworkers also volunteered at the event, so we got to hang out that day. And the night before, they opened up an event just for adults, since the actual book convention was for teen readers only. Since this was their first event, just a ton of people there fit into like the little maze of the store. It was at the same location as the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child release that I went to, so it was crazy, like fitting in 21 authors and the book tables and people getting things signed and trying to navigate all of that. In total, I got 14 books signed by 11 different authors. The first two books I got signed were by Sharon. Her new book is The Forgetting, which just recently came out sometime in October, and her other book, ROOK, which came out a few years ago. ROOK is a retelling of The Scarlet Pimpernel, which I haven't read yet, but I saw the feathers on the cover, so I was like, are there birds in this book? Sharon, are there birds? I can't read this book if there are birds in this book. And she's like, no, don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, phew, I can do this now. So it's set in the future of like a sunken city, which used to be Paris, and there's like an arranged marriage, and there's overthrowing the government. So she had it signed, and it says break the pattern. So I really like when authors like change what phrase they write based on what book they're signing. The Forgetting, 75% of the reason I bought this book was because of the inner cover, where it's I am made of my memories. I don't know if you can see this at all. So much of who we are is based on our past. Without our pasts, we are nothing. So in this city, every 12 years, people forget everything that happened in the past 12 years and they get just little bits of information. So the main character has never forgotten in her life. She's trying to navigate this city where she remembers what's happened, but nobody else does. She signed it, Don't Forget, and I am asking authors to write their favorite cookie on their title page when they sign it. That way I'm like collecting them, so it's like really on brand for me. So Sharon's favorites are snickerdoodles. The next book that I had signed was Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Córdova. I read this for Diversathon and I read it in September, so you can hear a little bit more about that in my September wrap up. So this is about a girl named Alex who is a Bruja. She comes from a very long lineage of Brujas, so it's very much a part of your ancestors and your past and where you came from. So she decides she doesn't want her magic, it's just an awful thing to her, so she decides to get rid of her magic on her death day, which she's supposed to accept the blessings of her ancestors, and accidentally sends her entire family to Los Lagos. It's kind of like an in-between purgatory world of the many different layers of reality, so she has to travel there. She is bisexual and there is a love triangle, and it actually does play out in this book, which is wonderful because I thought it was just going to be skimmed over, but it's like to the forefront, it's in there. Inner cover of this book has one of those like sugar skulls on it, and that just was like, oh, I'm buying that. That's worth it. So Zoraida signed this one as well, Make Magic, and she said Oreos for life, and we talked about like the different ways you could eat Oreos, if it's like original, double stuffed, the different flavors, if you dunk them in milk, if you twist them off. The next book I had signed was Signs of You. Haha, Emily France signed Signs of You for me. That is not funny. That is not funny at all. This book actually already came signed. I got it in a book subscription box, so it came with like a little like nameplate that's like similar to the cover. It just reminds me of like lavender fields, and it's beautiful. So she wrote her favorite cookie, which is chocolate chip. Chocolate chip's like the most common and favorite. We talked a lot about like if they have to be warm or crunchy or thick. I talked a lot about the authors about cookies, which is just amazing. So I'm the cookie girl. So she is a Colorado author, and her next book is actually another mystery but set in Boulder. I have not read this one yet, despite how skinny it is. Like I should get through this in a day or two. Like there's no excuse except that I'm an awful trash reviewer. This is about a girl whose mother died a few years ago, and she ends up seeing like glimpses of people who look just like her mom, and as soon as she walks up to them, they don't look like her mom anymore, and it kind of follows like a Da Vinci Code labyrinth of puzzles that actually date back to St. Ignatius and the Jesuit teachings. As a Catholic and from my religion classes and studying the Jesuit teachings, it's just that this is fascinating. I just really need to like bump this up to my TBR. The next book is NIGHTSPEED by Chris Howard. This book is about a drug that only like teenagers and young people can take, and the main character has trained to be able to take this drug and track down criminals and bad guys, but but she's very close to no longer being able to take the drug and then she'll be out of a job. He also has a black title page, so like the gold is just gorgeous. So he started signing it and I was like, wait, you need to write your favorite cookie, because I had that on my little like sticky note you put inside the books. He's like, oh, I thought I just was supposed to think about it. So he said an ice cream sandwich, I guess a chocolate chip cookie ice cream sandwich, because then it would involve 2 cookies and then it would kind of like get the best of both worlds. Next up is ZEBULON FINCH by Danielle Kraus, and this was the author that I was assigned to help with their like signing line for a little bit, and it was towards the end of the signing hour, so we just got to like chill and talk about history and talk about his book. The way somebody who has read it described it was The Walking Dead meets Boardwalk Empire, so it's a zombie who lives throughout life, and it's a massive thick book. But the second volume is in hardcover right now, and so I just stuck with the paperback. That way I can get the paperback of the second volume and then they'll match. And it's really funny because when I asked him about his favorite cookie, he was like, it's the one with chocolate chips, but they're not brown. They're the white ones. I'm like, a white chocolate chip cookie? He's like, yeah, that. So he got so like thought up in like the white chocolate chip that he actually forgot to sign it. It makes me laugh to no end, but it's inside to me. Make history. How many pages is this book? Hold on. 642 pages. So when I'm in the mood for something like really like deep and like immersive and all around huge, this is the book I'm turning towards. Then we have This Raging Light by Estelle. Laure. This is about a girl whose mother disappears and leaves behind her and her younger sister, and while trying to deal with the adversity and struggles of raising her younger sister, she also falls in love with a boy she can't have, her best friend's brother, who's already dating somebody, and trying to navigate the good and the bad of life as they happen simultaneously. The title of the book comes from Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas, which is in Matched by Ali Condi, and it was apparently beat to death in Interstellar. But I've heard Interstellar is like super long and super boring, so I can't do long, boring movies. Don't make me do them. I want fun, exciting, short movies because my time is precious. So, I mean, most of the reason why I bought this book was because after I followed all the authors on Instagram and Twitter, she followed me back, which is like a really nice thing to do. It made an impact and an impression on me, so I was like, yeah, I'll buy this book, yeah, I'll support you, we'll do this. Next up, we have the Aberson trilogy, a part of the Old Kingdom series by Garth. He had a new book, Golden Hand, that just came out, but it's in hardback, and I have paperback. Can't mix and match. I bought it on Barnes & Noble, that way I could get all 3 together for like a much more affordable price. Do you know when these came? In the middle of the day when I was at Colorado Teen Book Con. So these were sitting at my house, so I could not get these signed. So what I did was I bought CLARIEL, which is the 4th book in the series. Golden Hand is the 5th. And so this has the new cover. I'll buy Golden Hand when it comes out in paperback. That way they all match and are happy family. So this book actually features an asexual and aromantic main character who does not want to be a part of the arranged marriage. He's a part of it. I'm like, girl, yes. Girl, yes, I have this one book by him signed. To Laura, with best wishes, Garth. I like ginger snaps, because he's like, I like these ginger cookies, they're kind of crumbly or crunchy. Like, what would you call them? Because he's from Australia, so we were trying to like talk about like the translations or like the word changes between different cultures. I was like, yeah, ginger snaps works. Next, I got the first 2 volumes in the Wendy Darling series by Colleen Oaksign. The first one is Stars and then Sea, so it's a retelling of Peter Pan. I haven't read very many retellings of them. I know that there's a ton that exists out there, but I haven't read them, so this just looked more about Wendy and her experiences, which Wendy's amazing. She signed Come Fly With Me, Fave Cookie, warm chocolate chips and not cold. And I like stopped her on the way to the bathroom. It was so awkward. I don't think I hadn't bought these books yet either. I was in line to buy them and I like stopped her like, before you go around and before I buy these, can you sign my books before I have to track you down again? Let's Get Hooked. Oh, that's so fun. That's so cute. So there will be a 3rd volume, but in between that, she wrote Queen of Hearts, and the second Blood of Wonderland is coming out, so that's a retelling of Wonderland, but it's a lot darker and creepier, and I already don't like the darkness and creepiness of Wonderland, so if there's like a happier retelling of like Wonderland, then I'm definitely on board for that. She's also a local Colorado author. She's done a few events at Barnes & Noble's nearby, but I've been at work, so I haven't been able to go, so it's really great to finally meet her. And then I have Stealing Snow by Danielle Paige. I started reading this from my library, and then I'm like, I should just buy the book. It's a retelling of The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen. I'm not a big fan of Wizard of Oz, which is why I never read the Dorothy Must Die series, but I'm really excited to give this a try. So she wrote Laura, Let It Snow. She likes chocolate chip also. Chocolate chip seems to be like the fave around here. And a big reason of why I bought this book too was because she found me on Instagram and like followed me out of the blue a couple months ago, so I just was like, I like supporting people who support other people. So I actually met her in 2014 when I went to the Kiara Cass signing for the final book in the selection series, and I like briefly said hello through the signing line, and she's like, yeah, you look familiar. I'm like, we barely even talked, and she's like recognized me, so she has like a mind like a steel trap. I was talking about like how I'm a book blogger. She's like, oh, like what's your blog? I'm like, well, actually I'm more on like BookTube now. So I'm like, yeah, I just saw like your event with Christine and Natasha, and that's just so awesome. But I started out as a book blogger about Kiara Cass, and that's how I was at your signing originally. She's like, oh yeah, Kiara's amazing, she's wonderful. I was like, I know, she's so great. She's like, you should definitely let Kiara know that you're like blogging about her. I'm like, oh no, like Kiara knows. Kiara does not need to be told about me. Kiara knows about little old me, my nonsense. She knows, she's aware of it. I was like, thank you, I'll let her know, and I'm like really excited to read this. So it just was really great to meet her, and she's just a lovely person. Lovely people are my favorite. The next book is Our Chemical Hearts by Krystal Sutherland. This was in my anticipated fall reads video. It is about a boy who falls in love with a girl he never thought he would fall in love with. She walks with a cane, she has a strong body odor, and they work on a high school newspaper together and end up falling in love. So it deals a lot with mental illness and disability, and so I'm really interested to learn about this. Krystal Sutherland also has the best eye makeup I have ever seen in real life. She's like, I just went to Ulta and spent $1 bazillion because we don't have Ultas in Australia. She had these beautiful like calf length tulle skirts, and I was like, I wish I could pull that off. I wish I could do that, just like randomly just pull off these like huge tulle skirts and just be like boom, because her title page, there's not much room for like actual signing unless you want to cover over it. So she loves raw cookie dough, so we talked a little bit about that and how it's not good for you, but there are like Pinterest recipes for ones that don't include egg. That way you can like technically eat them, but live a little on the dangerous side. And the last book I had signed was AFTERWORLDS by Scott Westerfeld. It's about an author in college and how she's trying to navigate like the publishing world, but also her real world, but then her characters also start to come to life. To Laura, and he likes peanut butter with chocolate chips. Is that the date? Oh my gosh, he wrote what date he signed it. I was trying to figure out what that meant, if he was writing Lolita or LOL Little or what that says, but it's 10-14-16, so you have like a memory of when you met. That is brilliant! Bro, he had the best keynote. He had the best ending keynote about teens and novels and empathy and how reading books creates empathy for other people and people different from you, and it pulled together a lot of really great things. I did read the Ugly series by him ages ago when I was in high school, ages and ages ago, like when they were brand new. I have mixed feelings about the Ugly series, mostly because I started reading Pretties before I went back and read Uglies, so I read them out of order, so I was like all sorts of confused. So I was definitely more of a Zane girl than a David girl, so oopsies. And finally, there was one author who was supposed to be there and she couldn't be there because she was in Mexico for her movie, which is wonderful and great that you have a cameo. But I didn't get to meet you, now I'm a little sad. But it was Everything by Nicola Yoon. Her new book, The Sun Is Also a Star, is coming out in November. And I have the art. If you pre-ordered her new book, because even though I have an ARC, I need a hardcover, obviously, got a signed book plate. So I have Reading Is My Everything signed by Nicola Yoon. So it's like a really cute little poster. That was just a really nice option since she couldn't make it. It was like really short notice that she wouldn't be able to get out of Mexico in time. But like, when your book's being made into a movie, you go there, because those opportunities don't come up every so often. Like, that's like once in a lifetime, maybe twice in a lifetime, maybe 12 times in a lifetime if you're J.K. Rowling and just keep putting out Fantastic Beasts movies. Sorry, I'm a little salty. But all in all, a very fun weekend. I'm gonna have a nightmare and a half trying to fit these on my bookshelf, because we've started the double stacking. There is no more space. There's a stack here. There's a stack right here. There's a stack of books. There's so many books. Just stacked. What am I doing? I don't know. There were so many great authors there this weekend. It was hard to pick and choose which ones I was gonna buy and which ones I was gonna get signed, because they were all just phenomenal and so caring about their industry and their craft, and I learned so much throughout the weekend. My name is Laura. This has been Bookies and Cookies. I post videos on Sundays and Thursdays. I love each and every one of you, and I hope you never, ever forget that you are loved. I need to do a lot more about self-love and self-care and love and loving yourself and personalized love. And remember to support your local indie bookstore. Thanks, guys. Other brewhouses. Not brewhouses. There's so many options with Oreos. They're such like a versatile fruit. Not a fruit, they're a cookie. It's SABRIEL Lirel.